UK Home Secretary Braverman has withdrawn a controversial part from the illegal migration rules. Well, the rules made it harder for trafficking victims to have their pleas accepted. Earlier, Braverman introduced a policy which required victims to provide immediate proof of trafficking so that the UK government can identify them as a potential victim of slavery. Now, Braverman claims that some trafficking victims are manipulating the system. However, this claim was challenged by the chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee, Diana Johnson. She says she is still waiting for comprehensive evidence by the Home Secretary before the case could have reached for a full hearing. High Court, Braverman did withdraw the rules. Now, Home Secretary says she will provide another set of rules by the 10th of July to replace the current one. The government's U-turn was held as a remarkable victory by trafficking victims. Human rights and anti-trafficking groups have long warned about the consequences of the rule. They claim the change will reject many genuine victims. Now, the government records, suggest since the rules were introduced, the number of cases recognised as genuine trafficking victims has fallen sharply. Okay, let's break this down. So, in 2022, 88% of cases were potential victims of trafficking. In the first quarter of 2023, this figure dropped to 58%. Well, for more details on this rather convoluted topic, Alex Isaac is joining us live from London. We just want to ascertain how popular some of these policies are by Suella Braverman and who's kind of calling from them, because some of her most trusted, closest Tory colleagues are even going against some of her new ideas. For example, there's a rumour now that Steve Baker, a Tory MP on the Brexiteer right of the party, who's now a Northern Ireland minister, is now moving away from some of these new policies of Braverman. So how popular would you say some of these are then, Alex, do you think?
That's a really interesting question, because the idea of immigration, migration coming over to the UK does seem quite divisive, and not just within the Conservatives, with also Labour as well. There is one thing that is a fact, that there are so many people coming into the country and that the country can't cope with it. The amount of money that's going into trying processing people, and that's obviously frustrating the UK public themselves. When it comes down how we're actually going to fix this crisis, whether it comes down from human trafficking, those small changes, or whether it comes with visas, which we have today. We'll be hearing from those 25 backbenchers who have a 12-point plan to stop people coming over legally. That's by stopping some of the visas and changing the way that we're working. And also, when we're talking about Labour themselves, they keep saying that they also have a plan. They're going to stop the boats coming over. They're going to fix this backlog. But this is all just conversation. Nothing is actually written down and put into fact exactly how this is going to be done. This has been a problem for the UK for a number of years, and it doesn't seem to have any real solutions going forward. We do hear that whenever there's a small change with regards to this one that Suella Braverman has done a U-turn on, for example, then charities get involved, and then there is also people saying that human rights are affected. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of how we're going to stop people coming over and staying and taking the benefits and all of those kind of financial burden that is being put pressure on, we need to try and make sure that those that do really need refuge in this country get it, and those people that are having life-threatening situations back wherever they're from are getting the help that they need. And it's those other people that are taking advantage. That's the ones that we need to stop. Human trafficking is a huge issue, and also people smuggling is a huge issue as well. But when it comes to popularity, this is a conversation that keeps going on. Everyone has these solutions, but not actually giving any real facts to those solutions. Just saying that Labour's going to fix it, or the backbenchers are going to fix it. But we've seen this problem now escalate for many a year, and it doesn't seem to be any real progress moving forward.
Yeah, it is difficult to ascertain how popular it is, isn't it? Because we've got a situation here in the UK now where the public services are bursting at the seams, and some people do blame immigration out of control for that. But of course, we need immigration because we need people to work in services such as the NHS, and we rely heavily on that as well. Just remind us about the Rwanda situation, if you would, Alex, because we know that no plane has ever taken off to Rwanda just yet, because Suella Braverman cannot get that policy through the highest courts here in England, right?
That's correct, yes. We saw last week the Court of Appeal said that it was unlawful to send refugees to Rwanda. They said that there was a major concern that if they went to Rwanda that they would be sent back to their home countries, and of course if that means that their life was at risk, and that would be a real problem for human rights. That's the European Court of Human Rights issues that they were a fine line that they were treading. But the government has said, and it has got the chance to go to the Supreme Court, so they will again appeal this that the Rwanda plan won't be able to go forward. They say that actually it's not an unlawful country, it's a safe country. The Rwandan government also say it's a safe country. One of the UN refugee groups, in fact, send their refugees to Rwanda. So they'll be using all of these arguments when it comes to the Supreme Court to try and move things forward. And let's not forget that the country UK has already spent £140 million and sent that to Rwanda already. And of course they were going to be sending per person this extra 105,000 as well. So there's a lot of money bandying about that the government really wants to ensure that they can push through this scheme, because when Rishi Sunak made his 5 promises, immigration and illegal migrants was one of the major issues. He said that they would be sending people away, deporting them. Obviously that was to ensure that included the Rwanda plan, which has not come into fruition. But the real crux of the matter is that people are risking their lives every day trying to come across on boats, and yet the government has given money to Europe and to France to try and stop these border crossings, and that hasn't really had much of an impact. So the Rwanda plan was just one of the many plans that were put in place that still hasn't really come about. But we will be seeing in the next couple of months at least the appeal going to the Supreme Court, because there is only a short amount of time before the government has to give evidence at Supreme Court and see again the next step if this is going to be appealed. And if it does, if that again the Supreme Court says it is unlawful, then they could take it to the European courts. But as this is a European human rights issue, that doesn't look like it would have much impact either.
No, and that would be slightly ironic in a way, wouldn't it? Alex Isaac, thank you so very much indeed for your reporting and analysis on that.